all this in. So we were talking about the new film, Richard Jewell. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution newspaper has threatened to sue over what they call false claims in the movie, including that reporter, Kathy Scruggs, who passed away in 2001, slept with an FBI agent to get more information on Jewell. The question they have, and I think a lot of people have, is how much artistic license can you take with actual events? Now, you want to do the other thing first, or shall we talk about it?
Let me do the legal must-do.
Do the legal thing.
Okay.
Out of the way.
Warner Brothers stated, it is unfortunate and the ultimate irony that the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, having been a part of the rush to judgment of Richard Jewell, is now trying to malign our filmmakers and cast. The AGC's claims are baseless and we will vigorously defend against them.
How can
Warner
they,
Brothers
if the woman
added
is
that
dead?
the film has a disclaimer at the end which reads, the film is based on actual historical events. Dialogue and certain events and characters contained in the film were created for the purposes of dramatization.
So they say that the woman was slept with an FBI agent?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's
And
dead.
she did not.
And there's
Yeah.
no
No, she
actual
did not.
proof of that.
Yeah.
No.
There's no DNA or any kind of thing
Yeah.
like that.
No.
So how can they make that statement?
Yeah, and in the Me Too era, and the implication is somehow that she traded sex for scoops, and
So-
I just think.
So
my
even after
goodness,
you're
how do you
dead,
do that?
even after you're dead, they go after you.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine if this story happened in 2019? You think that you thought they
Twitter
rushed to
and stuff.
judgment back then? Imagine how it would play out. Now, a former investigative reporter at CNN during the Olympics, he wrote an article and he said it brilliantly. He said, I'm still a journalist and I still love to break news, but I get queasy anytime I see a breaking news banner on a screen. It used to be reserved for events like 9/11. Now it often is less than a morsel of news chewed over by endless panels of underqualified and over-opinionated pundits who replace reporting with pontification. It gets filled, reputations get totally ruined, and
said
no one bothers to
CNN.
check to see if the story's
Reporter.
true. He was
Sounds
an
like
investigative
Fox
reporter
News to
during
me.
the Olympics. Well, I think it's just
Exactly what you
I
just
think
read.
it just shows that, like, how careful we all need to be when things break by jumping to judgment, because the lives are ruined. And this poor man, I mean, he was a hero that saved countless lives.
It was a big mistake.
Who, I mean,
We acknowledge that, but don't turn on the
was,
woman, even after she's gone, and say that she's responsible for it.
Yeah.
She's not here to defend herself.
I think
That's
it's- I was really
outrageous.
looking
You know,
at
did you ever see the
troubling.
movie All the President's Men? That's like almost like a historical document at this point, because you watch that movie and you see exactly what happened and how they got Nixon. This is another sort of historical document, in a way, of that situation. And it's not accurate. And that's really outrageous, really, when you think about it.
And it's unfortunate.
And
because
Clint
he was-
Eastwood should be ashamed of himself.
And it's unfortunate because they did wrongfully target him, right? Because he was a suspect,
That's
and they
true.
ruined
That
his
was
life.
bad,
And
yeah.
it was a bad thing. But for me, what my takeaway from the film now is, my goodness, they have smeared this woman.
Yeah.
They have smeared this reporter, and there's no proof of
That's
that.
I haven't seen this movie, and I was looking forward to it because I love Clint Eastwood, and I'm always gonna like stand Clint Eastwood movies. So I'm gonna save my judgment on it till the end. But I will say, I have had a movie made about my family that was total garbage, complete taken artistic license left and right, which a lot of people took as fact. And there's another movie coming out called Bombshell right now, which I also haven't seen, have no plans on seeing,
That
which
was
I
good.
assume people have also taken some artistic
Depending
license,
on-
given my relationship with women who work at Fox News. So I do think the problem with all these kinds of movies is sometimes it's not historically fact-checked in the way that it should be, and the fiction becomes reality.
Yeah.
And I think it can have real-life impact on a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and I think there's a danger to it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen this movie, and I love Clint Eastwood, so I'm mixed on it.
I'm watching The Crown, right? I'm binge watching The Crown,
Yeah.
and they go back on so many historical, interesting events that happened,
Yeah.
and I find myself going on
Googling.
Google and reading to
Same.
see if it actually happened, because you just don't know, and I don't want to believe it happened if it really didn't.
To that point, I was just
Princess
watching the
Anne.
first...
Princess Anne
the
and that love triangle.
I was just watching the first series and the second series of The Crown again, and there was one thing that was interesting, which is relevant to today, and that was John Kennedy in 1962 was speaking to an assembled group of, politicians, et cetera, and he said...
Isn't it Crown?
We are, yes, it was in The Crown,
didn't
because
see
the
that.
Kennedys are featured in The Crown.
I'm not into British
And he
stuff.
says something to the effect of, we are a very divided nation. That's in 1963.
Well, yes.
So this divisiveness that we talk about all the time has been a long time coming.
Well,
Yeah.
of course it has. I mean, he was trying to make changes and allow
60s,
black people to vote,
Yep.
and all kinds of people losing their minds. And this is
We're gonna get through it.
This, yes, that's what I keep telling you.